Exploring the woods can elicit a mild sense of trepidation. The natural world is undeniably stunning, yet the secrets concealed within the abundant greenery remain unknown. Could there be bears or mountain lions lurking nearby? Two intrepid hikers in Montreal, Canada, were on the verge of a startling discovery. On an ordinary day, a couple embarked on a mountain hike with the simple desire to bask in nature's splendor, unwind, capture a few photographs, and embrace some physical activity. Little did they know that this outing would soon transform into an unforgettable tale that they would recount for a lifetime. Ariane and her companion were leisurely traversing a mountain trail when an unexpected sound emanated from the depths of the dense woods surrounding them. Within the obscurity of the forest shadows, the source of the noise remained concealed, shrouded in mystery. Not inclined to linger and risk encountering an enigmatic creature, they hastened their pace in the opposite direction. As they rounded a bend, they encountered another hiker who appeared to be on a quest of his own. Despite their recent fright, the couple opted to pause and offer assistance. The man explained that he had heard plaintive cries emanating from the woods, the very same sounds that had sent shivers down the couple's spines. He had briefly glimpsed a small creature, but upon his approach, it had darted away, eluding capture. Since then, he had been unable to locate it. The three individuals recognized that leaving the area without conducting a thorough search would leave them burdened with regret they could never bear, and thus, they resolved to undertake a determined rescue mission. They searched the area and heard the cries getting louder. Finally, inside a dark, hollowed-out tree stump, they saw two glowing eyes looking back at them. The animal let out a mewing sound once again, and from the sound of it, it was obviously scared and hiding. It was a kitten. As soon as they would come closer, she would back away. It wouldn't be easy to reach her. They tried to bribe her with something to eat, but she wasn't having any of it. She was so small that she probably wouldn't even know what solid food is or be able to eat it. If Ariane could lie flat on her stomach, she would be able to slide inside and get the tiny animal out. Not the most fun thing to do. A lot of other creepy critters could be hiding inside that tree stump too. But it was clear that the animal wasn't coming out on its own. Ariane went down and reached inside, trying not to think of her surroundings. She focused on the rescue. She could only just manage to reach the tiny fur ball. Slowly, she picked her up and took her out. The poor thing was shivering from the cold and fright, and she was incredibly small. It was clear that this was a baby that still needed her mommy. This made them think of something else. What if there was a mother cat and more kittens somewhere in the dense forest? While Ariane and her partner took the kitten to safety, the other man searched for the mother cat and more kittens. He searched for the rest of the day and even went back the next day, but there was nothing to be found. Somehow, the tiny kitten had gotten there, and she was entirely on her own. Ariane quickly wrapped the tiny baby up inside her jacket, where it could feel warm and start to relax. She wasn't alone anymore. The couple decided to take her home, but they had no idea what awaited them. The kitten wouldn't stop crying. She was probably crying from missing her mother and possibly some siblings, being hungry and scared. Her world must have seemed like a very dark place. Ariane didn't know much about raising a cat, let alone taking care of a starving, lonely kitten, but she knew that it was essential that the baby would need to start eating. It would be the difference between life or death. The young cat would need special care that she just couldn't give her. They wanted her to have the best chance at survival possible, but they couldn't provide that in her home. Then Ariane had an idea that might increase the kitten's chance of survival. Her friend Sarah was a volunteer at the shop Tones or Foulons Montreal, and she would know what to do. Ariane made the call, and Sarah was immediately willing to help and foster the tiny kitty. When the kitten was strong enough, the shelter could find her a home. They named her Clochette, which means little bell in French. She was checked by a vet, and they realized she was only a few weeks old and very underweight. There lay a long and uphill battle ahead for Clochette. She would never have made it another night in the woods. Her rescuers had saved her life, at least for now. She might have made it out of the literal woods, but she was far from out of the figurative woods. The kitten kept crying and still refused to eat. Sarah got a special bottle to feed the tiny girl and formula that the vet prescribed. But Cloquet didn't want to drink. Her heart was broken, and they feared that she was too far gone to be saved. Still, Sarah didn't want to give up on the tiny baby. She might not be able to give her mom back, but she could know that she was loved. Sarah put Cloquet inside her own jacket, close to her heart, and kept her there for comfort and warmth. Every hour she would offer her milk and hope she would drink. Finally, after spending all night trying to coax her to feed, Cloquet took a few tiny sips. That was enough to give Sarah hope. The kitten didn't instantly recover. She continued to have a lot of trouble eating. Every few sips were a huge victory for Sarah and her family, who continued to care for the baby day and night. Since she was still so weak, Sarah would keep her inside her jacket, or she would put her in a small bed, completely bundled up in blankets. It was one day at feeding time that Sarah reached inside, and the kitten was cold. She had stopped breathing. They started to do CPR on the tiny baby and rushed Cloquet to the vet. After all that they had been through, they weren't going to lose her now. She was breathing again, but very weak. The vet gave her fluids and cared for her. It looked dire for a while, but Sarah refused to leave. She couldn't do much but let the kitten know that she wasn't alone. Sarah had been in a relentless battle alongside her team to ensure the survival of the fragile baby, and that marked the pivotal moment. It was as if the tiny kitten sensed the collective determination of the humans, pouring their energy into saving her, and that newfound strength ignited her own will to fight. Before long, Cloquet could return to her foster home, surrounded by people and other animals who cherished her. Her progress was gradual but evident. Initially, she began to explore her surroundings, gradually venturing farther from her cozy resting spot each day. Then came the heartwarming development of her responding to Sarah's calls. At first, she awkwardly waddled over on her unsteady legs, but soon she was sprinting when summoned, enjoying improved meals, growing stronger, and eventually engaging in playful interactions with the other animals in the household. Cloquet transformed from a frail and ailing creature into a robust and thriving feline, radiating undeniable cuteness. The rescue center conveyed the uplifting news to Sarah that Cloquet was now healthy enough to find her forever home. While this should have been a cause for celebration, the mere thought of this precious baby leaving filled Sarah's heart with a deep ache. She had spent countless hours bottle feeding, introduced her to solid foods, and shared countless play sessions, all of which had contributed to Cloquet's miraculous survival. In the end, Sarah made the only decision that felt right. She contacted the rescue center and informed them that Cloquet would not be coming back to the shelter. Instead, Cloquet had found her forever family right there with Sarah and her loved ones. Her foster family had seamlessly transitioned into her forever family, and the happiness they all shared knew no bounds. What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comments section. Thank you.